if you're migrating to Germany from Nigeria and you are qualifying the blue card, the answer is yes.
As someone migrating to Germany from Nigeria, I would like to know how to move to Germany with family. And we usually get this question a lot from most of our Nigerian candidates. They always ask, is it possible to migrate to Germany with kids? Is it possible to migrate to Germany with a wife? I have family members, what would that take? Is it possible?
Ransom, it's so beautiful to see you here and all you wonderful Nigerian people. We have so many great people from Nigeria, capable, competent. And so, Ransom, the brief question is yes, especially with the EU blue card, if you want to migrate to Germany from Nigeria and you qualify for the EU blue card, then the simple answer is yes. And, you can even have permanent residency within less than 2 years if you speak German, meaning that you will be treated like any other German in this country. So the idea really is, or the option really is, that Germany is welcome you to make this your new home. So if you're migrating to Germany from Nigeria and you are qualifying the blue card, the answer is yes.
Excellent. Thank you, Eleanor. And I guess a follow-up question to that would be, is there a separate process for my family members? Do I have to go through another process with you, Talents to Germany, or, what does that take?
It's just one single process.
Yeah, as opposed to the Nigerian culture of politeness and submissiveness in the workplace, can you share some insights into how today's Germany encourage open communication and the voicing of concerns or disagreements in professional settings? Talking about migrating to Germany from Nigeria, as a Nigerian, you get.
I love your question. And actually, even if you work remote, if you for a German company, if you work in Germany for a German company, and I've worked with you lovely people from Nigeria, there is quite a difference in terms of culture and communication. And if you like the scientific part, there's this gentleman called Hofstede who has made the cultural comparison framework. You can find the link. We've we don't want to make this like very technical, but if you're interested, just follow everything is in the description for all the scientists here. But in a very nutshell, let me just say it in a non-scientific way, okay? Historically, Germans are traumatized by submissiveness. There was just a bad dude in our history who has abused, politeness and fear of speaking up towards authority in a very bad manner. So Germans are scared of ever being in a situation where they do not speak towards an authority and something really bad happens. Okay, so that means even in schools there will be so much training. If your teacher is wrong, have the courage, stand up. That doesn't mean that every teacher will encourage it. It doesn't mean that every boss will encourage it, right? We're still humans, just to be clear. But there is just so much training emphasis on this because of our history. Yeah, so there is a fear of being submissive. That makes sense. Okay, so that means if, for example, a Nigerian tells me yes, ma'am, and they mean it in a very polite manner, I'm just confused. Like, why does somebody do that? And just from our perspective, you just don't do it. And obviously, there's a huge difference. So that means even in today's culture, it doesn't mean that every boss will appreciate outspokenness, because people still have their egos here and there, right? But in a tendency compared to, normal curve of distribution, there'll be just a huge shift in the society as a whole, which can be something to get used to if you're coming just right from Nigeria to Germany.
Oh, wow. Excellent. So, talking about, immigration to Germany from Nigeria, we have to really just put out these questions and be very clear on them because of the cultural differences. So I would ask, at what point are you considered rude in communication to superior colleagues in the workplace?
So it is a tough question for one simple reason, because Germany is not one single human being. It's 48 million people, okay? So just saying, they're different, okay? So that's why it's hard to answer it on behalf of an entire nation of more than 80 million. Okay, having said that, we always speak, I mean, you're engineers, you know, if you have large numbers, you can do an average, and then on average, you can calculate how this average is different than this average. Okay, so for the scientists here, okay. So that means what we can see is certain patterns. Obviously, it will be a difference whether you work in a startup environment versus you work on a municipality, in a government agency, okay? That means the cultures will be different. There's not just one single German culture. It depends already, like, is it a fast-paced, you know, 5 boys in a t-shirt, or is it, you know, very traditional company? Okay, so that means, and every person may have a different level of ego threshold. Let's put it that way also. Okay, again, we're speaking of differences here, but maybe just a very simple rule is once you say you are bad, it's probably bad. Once you say, I have an idea how we can get a better outcome, I think we can achieve the result faster. We can make the client more happy than that. You know, as long as you make it about the goal, you know, picture every team is like a football team, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, and you just have an idea how to score more goals, how to get a better outcome for a team. Yes, and you just know if we change the strategy, let's try this, and you make it about the game and about, you will be in generally very, very good, and people will expect you to speak up. And I think this is something people don't sometimes understand from outside Germany. It's not optional. Like picture Bayern Munich, and there's one dude on the grass standing there waiting for somebody to tell him what to do. Like nobody will feel sorry. They will carry him off the lawn and stop him to tell him, just stop, you know, just stop hindering us. If you don't play, go. Okay, it's not optional. It's not something you do on a good day when you feel like. Does it make sense? It's an expectation. Just so that, just saying. Can I say a small anecdote on this? I know you've not asked it, but this has been a thing. We called it the paint the wall blue anecdote in our team. Okay, so here we go. This is actually a lady from Kenya. It's not exactly Nigeria, but it's close enough in terms of culture. So, you know, let's say she was like, Eleanor, I try to please you. I try to do everything you're saying. And every time you're unhappy. And I'm like, okay, maybe that's the problem, you know? And then we had this conversation. She said, I always, you know, for example, here, you know, you said, how about we did this? And then I did it. And then you come back and you're like, it's bad. And I was like, okay, from your professional opinion, is this a good result or a bad result? And she's like, it's a bad one, of course. And she's like, I'm like, did you know it before you did it that it will turn out bad? And she says, yes, of course I knew it. And I said, who has the professional expertise to judge? You as a developer or me as a CEO who studied just something else? Who has the professional expertise to judge what is the correct result? You or me? And she says, me. So you did something that you have the professional expertise to judge the education. You knew it will turn out bad, and you did it, and you asked me to be proud of you. Yeah, but you said it. I said, well, that's a bad reason. Yeah, and I was like, that's just a bad reason. Okay, it's sometimes, you know, I'm a CEO. I just walk around and say things. Okay, I just come, and we call it the paint the wall blue story. I say, how about this wall was blue? I come back and it's blue. I was like, guys, do you think it's great? No, it's stupid, but you said it. You know, don't do things you don't believe in. You are the experts. I hired you. I pay you lots of money so that you do things because you believe in, because it's great, because it's gonna move the needle, because it's gonna make us win, because it's gonna make it score, and not because I said it.
Okay, so I'd like to migrate to Germany for work, obviously. So
You know,
how would you describe the overall sense of fairness in German work environments, particularly in terms of opportunities and treatment of foreign workers?
okay, I'm just a bit carried away with the previous topic about the culture, maybe, and maybe it goes to get transition into fairness and maybe respect. I always tell to my people, if you want to respect me, be on time, be prepared, have a clear agenda, because the biggest thing you can do in this respect is to be late. or to be unprepared, show up with a meeting or cancel a meeting last time, because here the people have high salaries for a reason. If you want to have a high salary per minute, that means you work like that. And if somebody's impeding me to work like that, they impede me from earn. And there's like one thing in life that doesn't come back, it's our lifetime. Like time is the one resource you can't recuperate. And if people just like disrespect time, that's disrespectful. Because like you take somebody's life, that's a serious crime. You know what I'm saying? That is serious. You take somebody's life away, that's bad. Okay, so that's disrespectful. Yeah, but if you're like contradicting to help them achieve something better, that's respectful because you treat it as if it was your own. Okay, that's still on the previous one. Migrating to fairness. So basically, if you migrate to Germany, be it from Nigeria, and you're foreigner here, and you pay taxes here, you will have the same legal framework as any other German in the country. Very soon, let's say 2 years, with the EU blue card, you will have option for citizenship. That means every right and duty as a citizen is equally shared with you. So that means in terms of fairness, we have a very strong legal system. You pay taxes and you're entitled to everything the exact same way as any other German.
So, as someone who wants to migrate to Europe from Nigeria, let's talk about the elephant in the room. How does German work culture distinguish between directness and discriminatory behavior in the workplace?
So if I get you correctly, you're basically asking, is there racism in Germany? There's obviously this question, and you have the cultural difference, and you say, if you migrate to Germany from Nigeria, obviously you may have a fear, is there racism in Germany as well? So obviously there's a policy level, there's a subjective feeling, and then maybe it's your personal ecosystem. So there's policies, there's statistics. On the policy level, right now, there is an enormous amount of campaigning going on. I think 2 years back, we had a nationwide 1-year campaign. You will see, it is not just for against racism, but also with all the thing around gender. Okay, so there's just a huge campaigning in terms of inclusiveness at the workplace and the society, and there's a lot of attention for the topic at policy, governmental, and societal level. That's number one. Statistically, obviously, there is some incidence of racial discrimination and so forth. Again, we've linked an article. If you want to dive into statistics and so forth, you're welcome. We just want to focus maybe on some key messages here, but you're welcome to dive deeper. So yes, the incidences exist. Then there is another level. I'm saying that is a personal experience. And the next thing is, what can I do about it? When it comes to the personal experience, I have a story with you to share. So first of all, before I share my story, there's 2 layers of it. When you migrate to Germany from Nigeria specifically, and you are confronted with this German straightness, you may think people are picking on you until you learn to realize they speak like that to everybody, and they're just including you in their tough love, okay? They're just not excluding you. And I have an anecdote about that. I used to play squash, and in a first squash club that I got into, I was the only girl and I was the only beginner, and they all played for minimum 10 years, and they didn't care about me. They hated me being there because I was the worst player in the room, and I was the only girl, and nobody had pity with me. So they just crushed me, left, right, up, down, and they didn't care. So what did it do inside of me? You know, you have this lion inside of you. You're like, boys, I'll get you. Okay, I'll get you. It will be fun for me. You know, that voice in the head, that got me. And I just secretly took training lessons. And after 6 months, my first match, I won against somebody who played 10 years. What a pleasure. what a pleasure. After 6 months, I was just kicking it. Then we moved to a different city, and I thought, I love squash, so I searched a new squash club. And in this squash club, conditions were much better. They were mostly gentlemen, but they put so much effort into being inclusive to women that they even had a special section for women, and they had a special trainer for women. Now that sounds beautiful, doesn't it? That means when I was in my training lessons, the trainer was extra nice. And that means when I did something wrong, he'd be like, Eleanor, this is what you need to do. This is how you hold your racket. And he was extra nice and extra sweet and extra polite. And I was like, can't you just yell at me? Can't you just like faster? That I understand. But if you tell me half an hour how to move my legs, by the end you're finished talking, I'm cold, I need to start the warm-up routine again. And I got so frustrated. And I watched him, how he trained the boys. And what did he do? He yelled at them. It's like, move your butt. It's like, and this is discrimination. He's being nice to me and he's not being nice to them. He's just yelling at them. And I tell you, I was trying to swallow it for 3 years. I didn't improve. And I finally, frustrated, left. So sometimes it's a matter of perspective. If I were to just enter a room and somebody would be yelling at me, move your butt, I would say, oh my gosh, that is so rude. Until I realized that's just how they talk to each other, and they just were not excluding me. They were just not giving me the extra fluffy super cushion. They just treated me just like an adult. And this is just maybe, ladies and gentlemen, maybe not easy to hear, but Germans have a tendency to be very straight with each other. And if they were with you, that just means they don't treat you any special, they don't treat you any different. It's because maybe they do not see you as less capable or less whatever. And if they did, they would do that, what they did with me in that women's club. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my gosh. Okay, and if they don't, that means they just see you like any other adult in the room was the same treatment. If they say, wrong, just improve. That's it. End of story. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you migrate to Germany from Nigeria, then you will in the beginning encounter those issues, but not everything that feels like harsh is actually racism. Something is just candor, and something is just loving candor sometimes.
So I am now in Germany, and I'm concerned about job security in Germany. So for someone looking to settle in Germany from Nigeria, if you got a job offer, how does Germany ensure job security for its workforce, particularly for migrants and foreign nationals?
Okay, if you migrate to Germany from Nigeria and you want to be treated the same like any German with a citizenship, then the first thing you have to delete is the word particularly, because that's exactly what you don't want. You don't want to be treated particularly, right? So your responsibilities and the perks are exactly the same like anybody else's. And just let us quickly walk through how it is for Germans, because that's how it will be for you. So obviously, let's say you have the EU blue card in Germany, and you have the permanent residency within 2 years, then it's same like for everybody else. You generally have a 6 months probation period. If you migrate to Germany with family, this is actually something to be mindful of. We will link the resources because it is important you have a 6 months probation period, meaning we have one of the strictest labor laws in the world protecting employees as probably almost nowhere else in the globe. However, employers have 6 months to commit. Okay, it's like before you get married, you have that 6 months to see, is this somebody you will be ready to give that lifetime commitment to? So don't take that lighthearted, because if somebody does get married, they do check, because the commitment is very, very serious for the side of the employers. So meaning you have 6 months probation period, And during that period, you can be laid off, typically with a period of 2 weeks. And if you have the EU Blue Card, you typically have 3 months to find another job at the moment. So this is very important. And then typically employers look for lifetime employment. That I can say, and that is for many very surprising, especially those who hear from the hire fire mentality when they go for the green card in the US and all those things. In Germany, typically there's a high sense of loyalty, there's a high sense of lifetime commitment from sides of employers, and the thing is, the salaries are really high, the cost of training people is really high, and then obviously once you're very much in the details of, be it cybersecurity, they do not want to every 6 months somebody else to know all their secrets and their intellectual properties. So they typically are extremely cautious who they let in, and then they're extremely cautious to never let go of those people again. Okay, so that means once you're in, which is hard, you typically have an extreme level of loyalty by the side of the employers. Then obviously beyond that, sometimes that might be not very relevant for many of the software engineers, but you have labor unions and so forth. But that wouldn't be even the thing I'd be counting on. Employers share so much of their internal, how they're built with you. They may take a long time to trust you, but if they commit, and they will make sure to not let you go.
Wonderful answer, wonderful answer. But I would still like to know, in the event of, let's say, an economic turn or the company's restructuring, are there any protective measures or support systems in place for non-native employees in Germany?
So if the Nigerian experience in Germany, especially in comparison, is of course that here you have this high level of also social welfare system. We have lots of people, for example, from the United Arab Emirates who live there, but who are not born there, or how you call it, not natives. And if you lose the job, even after 30 years, you have 3 months to leave the country. And that is very different in Germany. Okay, after 2 years with the EU Blue Card, you are entitled to permanent residency with your family. You could build a life and a future also for your children. And in a case of economic downturn, obviously that will affect the entire nation. So there can be nobody who can protect you as a single person if the entire economy is failing. At the moment, that is not the case. Things are very good. But in contrast, if there's a company restructuring, so it's not that something that affects the entire company, but in a single company, then we have mechanisms like, for example, unemployment insurance. That means you have lots of mandatory payments, and people complain 40% of my salary you're going to have to pay. One of the payments is, besides health insurance, is unemployment insurance, which is mandatory. That also means that if you do get unemployed, you do have a mandatory insurance that for so and so many months, your, let's say, 60% of your previous salary is covered. That's actually not like really a governmental service as such. It's a mandatory insurance service. And that means you do have for, let's say, 18 months, I'm not a legal expert, don't ask me, but like, let's say for 18 months, you'll have 60% of your previous salary, something of that sort. So you can still have more than enough time, to find the next job. That is provided you have paid into the social welfare system first for long enough. Yeah, so you qualify for these services if you've been paying for them, like paying into the system first. And obviously once for some reason that would expire, then we still have the social welfare system. So there still is quite a few mechanisms, and the social welfare system that is unconditional. Yeah, so that means for in theory, eternity, you have social welfare should that for some reason be required. But that's, as I say, on a personal level. And that's something that ideally shouldn't be there and should not never ever happen to you. But there's like so many safety mechanisms to protect you in case you tumble and fall.
Excellent, excellent. So I will just ask one last question, and this will be straightforward. How easy or difficult is it to get another job in the unfortunate case of a layoff?
So first of all, how hard or difficult is it to get to play in Bayern Munich? Okay, first of all, it's always about your quality. It's always about how good you play. There is no governmental guarantee for anybody to get a job except your own performance. Okay, don't forget it's a market. Companies hire the best they can find because why? Every company that is competing, Porsche is competing against all the other car manufacturers and needs to kick them. So they hire the people that can kick them. And if you're one of them who can kick them, they'll make sure to hire you. Okay, always make sure work on your performance first, because that is your guarantee to be hired, because everybody who you help to win will make sure you're better on the team and not with a competitor, but it starts with your performance. Simple, that is your best guarantee and always will be. Besides this, if you do migrate to Germany from Nigeria and you're new to the country, make sure you build the networks, make sure people know about you. You build a reputation, not of being late, but of being reliable. And if I want to get something done, ask ransom, he'll get it done. Build a reputation of people, of the experience people are having with you, and that will carry you forward. Especially in economic downturns, people need people who can kick it. Be that person, and trust me, you'll never worry again. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope I didn't scare you, but I'm German. That's my job. If it didn't, all right, and you are somebody who's not afraid to work hard, who's not afraid to kick it because you know that's what you do, you are most welcome to join our Talents to Germany program. It's meant specifically for people who are willing to give the performance, just need a chance. And we connect with employers in Germany who will at least give you a chance and look at you and give you a conversation. And then you better make them wow and say, okay, this person, I'll better have them on my team. And if you need that connection, that opportunity, you're welcome to join the Talents to Germany program. So there's so much in the attached to this, the blog articles with all, like everybody who likes all the science and all the statistics, please find all the links attached. Just don't make this too lengthy, but you find so much more if you want to read further.
So friends, this is so valuable information, and I just advise you to, you know that one person who really, really needs to know this. Just share it with them, send it to their DMs and tell them, this is good information for you. That one person. We wish to see you soon.